So PPO we know is, so we're going to talk about the difference between HMO PPO and then CHDH, CDHP. So this is a consumer-driven health plan. Consumer-driven health plan. We typically have an HSA account, which is a savings account that the employer, the insured, can actually pull from. So what happens is the employer then deposits some amount into this account, and it accumulates over time. And whenever there is a need to withdraw from this account, then the employee is able to do so in order to pay off their medical expenses. How this works is, again, mental model is we have the insurer, we have the employer, and then we have the employee who is the insured. And typically we have a group of employees. We may even have groups of employees, A, B, C, depending on their risk characterization. And what happens is a set product is contracted between the insurer and the employer regarding these are the benefits that employee of class A, B, and C need and should have. And so they propose a product, and then we have a product that is proposed, we have a preset premium rate. Now, who contributes to the premium? It is both. Sometimes it's just the employer, sometimes it is just the employee, sometimes it's most likely it is both. Oftentimes it is both, where employer pays a portion, employee also pays a portion and contributes to this. And then whenever claims, now if it is self-funded, right, or self-insured, then the employer would pay all. Now, when claims occur, employee then submits this claim to the employer, right, and the insured, and the insured is the one who pays out. If it is self-insured, then the employer is the one who pays it out. But if it's not, it's typically the insurer who pays it out. And then we also have deducts and out-of-pocket maxes and things like that. Now imagine a scenario, we have an employer offers two plans, PPO, CHDP. Now PPO we know is more flexible. You don't need to have a PCP. You can directly go to a specialist without having first to go to a PCP. If you want to do like an MRI, you can just directly go, or have like a certain ear specialist, or directly go to that specialist without even going to PCP, and you will have more flexibility in going to other doctors outside of the network. But it is more, right? Obviously, it is more expensive and have to be more cost conscious when you are in PPO, but it is more flexible. So flexibility is an advantage here. Flexibility, it will be higher in terms of cost if you are going out of network. This is typically also broad network, so a wider range of doctors are also available here. And when we go to CDHP, it is more like the consumer drives the choices. Consumer drives the choices. They have to be more health conscious, and they have to know what the expected costs are, and make sure that their decisions align with the costs and what they want to make sure to reduce the costs. Now, if an employer offers these two plans, right, PPO, CHDP, what happens is now there's going to be some selection that goes on. Right? This is the richer plan, and we know this is the leaner plan. And so if we now think that this PPO is going to be 30%, CHDP will be about 70%, we know that there's some self-selection going to occur. PPO is going to attract sicker employees. Why is it going to attract sicker employees? Well, because they have more access to a wider range of facilities and doctors that they can actually visit to. So what's going to happen? You're going to have more claims because sicker people are going to choose the PPO. And CDHP is going to attract healthier claims. You're not going to have many claims or large cost claims in CDHP plan. So we have this self-selection here. And now that because of that self-selection, we have this morbidity factor or this risk factor that the risk associated with the PPO is now going to be 1.2, risk associated with the CDHP, meaning that compared to a baseline of one, these individuals are going to just be a higher health risk. And compared to a baseline of one, these individuals are going to be a lower health risk. And when we just do the multiplication of that, we get to our new rates that we should have offer. And these are selection adjusted costs. We know that sicker people are going to choose PPO, so that's why we expect the claims to be higher. And so that is why we're adjusting the premium rate. We know that healthier people will choose CDHP, so we know that the claim cost will be lower. So that's why we are also lowering the premium rate by these factors. By these factors. Now, average selection load is now, let's do the sum product. Let's get what is the average cost? What is the average cost before we implemented selection, before we implemented the morbidity factors and after we implemented the morbidity factors, right? So after we implemented morbidity factors, it was 864. Before it was 860. You can see the calcs here. And now, so we know the overall selection, the fact that we know that sicker people are going to go to the PPO and healthier people are going to go to the consumer driven health plan, that increases total cost by 0.47. Now, if the insurer offers both plans, they don't care about, all they care about is the total profitability. They don't care about, oh, the membership mix in this plan versus all they care about is profitability. So what they do is instead of multiplying by the morbidity factor, now we've calculated already the fact that the overall selection increases total cost by 0.47. So let's just use this factor now. Let's just use this factor now into our from our original rates. Instead of using the morbidity factor, let's use this overall selection load factor. And so we do our overall selection load factor, and then we get these two numbers. Now, if you do the weighted average, if you do the sum product by this 30% and 70%, you should get to the 864, which was the new weighted average or new sum product calc that we did after we accounted for the selection after we accounted for the morbidity factors. And we applied that to the original rate. So now why do we do this? Because the same insurer owns both plans. They don't care about what profitability that each plan produces. They just care about the aggregate profitability. They don't care about the member mix. They just care about the aggregate probability. So they don't care about the movement of members between the plans. They care about the aggregate probability. So that's why we're going to just take what's the selection load factor and apply that factor to both the PPO and the CHDP option. Now, if we do have a multi-insurer environment, so we have PPO, A sells PPO, C DHP. Now we know now the fact that the riskier sicker people are going to go here and the healthier are going to go here. Now that actually matters because it's two different insurers. Then you use the morbidity factors. Only then do you use the morbidity factors. And now if we just go to characteristics, we know HMO is like the most restrictive, has the lowest premium. PPO is highest premium. Why is it highest premium? Because we know that you're able to get more access to more facilities and doctors. Also more broad network, right? So more access to doctors and facilities that are within the scope of the allowed doctors and facilities you're allowed to visit. HMO is more restricting. You need to have a PCP if you want to get a certain service done or an X-ray or an MRI. You may need to go through a PCP, and then they may refer you to a specialist. But for PPO, you can just directly go to the specialist itself. We also have more. You can go out of network. Again, it will cost more, but you can go out of network. HMO, you are limited just in network options. And PCP required, right? Yes, no PCP required. And then we also have this CDHP. Again, it's consumer driven, more health conscious for the consumer. And it's moderate to high employee flexibility. There is high cost sharing. Cost sharing. So the mental model here is it's more greater consumer responsibility. Employee satisfaction is mixed. And consumerism, the emphasis on the consumer is high. Philosophy mental models. HMO. Control costs. We control where people can actually get care. So only in network is allowed. Only in network is allowed. Go to PCP, only then do you go to the specialist. Only then do you go to the specialist. PPO is now we have maximum freedom, but we're also going to limit that freedom in terms of the consequences. Again, you have choices. We'll give you the choices. But we'll make certain choices easier, certain choices harder. And why are certain choices harder is due to the higher cost for the outer network. And now CDHP, we have let employees make economic decisions. So ownership is on the employees. We have high deductible, high cost sharing. We know there's this HSA account that the ER then funds into, accumulates over time, and the employee can actually take from this account to pay their expenses. And if they don't, if the medical expenses, if they don't, then it accumulates over time and it's theirs. Now, the risks of TDAH is that people may delay preventive care, right? Necessary treatment because they think, oh, it's high deductible and it's more cost to the consumer. So let's delay these initial treatments now. And if you do delay these initial treatments now, maybe they get a more severe condition in the future, and that will ultimately have a higher claim cost. So in the short run, the consumer has to pay less, but in the long term, health-wise, it may cause a more serious condition because they're not getting the preventive care that they need in order to, do their regular checkup, make sure no future long-term chronic illness or chronic condition actually occurs. So we know HMOs, right, have the lowest premiums, strong util control. There is employee dissatisfaction because they can't visit certain doctors or certain facilities that they want. PPO, most attractive, broad network, highest employer cost, though, highest employer cost. CDHP, we know again, delayed care risk, more emphasis on responsibility on and burden on the employees, right? So it may cause higher costs, claim costs in the future due to the health conditions worsening if they do delay care. We want, if we now let's say we have parent company A, and then who is acquiring a new company called acquired company, and they have their own benefit structure, and parent company has their own benefit structure, and we want to merge them, see what the difference between the combined, if we were to combine their benefit structures, or if they were separate. And when we say combined benefit structure, we're going to reprice the premiums. So what was before is parent A had their own premiums, acquired had their own premiums. Now we're going to reprice the premiums based upon their different claims, right? They have their claim PMPM, and the acquired has their claim PMPM and actuarial value. We're going to put the acquired claim PMPMs in terms of the parent company's claim PMPMs to get them on the same basis. Do the weighted average calc of the two plan types. In this case, it's HMO and the consumer CDHP. And we're going to get a new premium rate that we can apply for both the parent company and the acquired. So what are we doing? We're combining the experience factor from acquired to to the parent company, and we're getting this aggregate premium that we can apply. And now if they are separate, then we know acquired has their own premium rates. We know that the parent company has their own premium rates, and then the total cost will be separate. The premium rates are going to be separate. Now, also have to take into account what the subsidy is. Subsidy is what portion of the premium that the employer is paying. Claims from acquired, you bring it to the parent company level, and then you multiply by the AV. Now, tier ratios are used that of the parent because we are using the benefit structure of the parent. We're merging into the parent, So we're using the benefit structure of the parent, and the tier ratios are part of that. And now, how do you get to the individual if you have like employer only, employee plus spouse, employee plus children? Well, you have this premium rate that you've uncovered, right? That you've discovered, and then you have the tier ratios. You have the tier ratios. You can do the weighted average of the tier ratios by the membership, by the total aggregate membership, and then you can extrapolate from there, right? Just set up the ratios, and you can find out what the premium amount should be for each of the different tiers that you're offering. And what is the ultimate formula for premiums? Ultimate formula for premiums is claims, projected costs plus all of the expenses, Prospective rating is you are looking in the future. You have these historical claims that you are projecting forward to get the premium rates for, let's say, 2026. If your base period that you're using the experience from is 2025. Retrospective is okay, you've established some baseline premium. Now you've established some baseline premium. Let's say it's your 2026 premium. Right? Now 2026 claims are coming in. If they're higher or lower, depending on if they're higher or lower, then at the end of the year, if they are higher than what you actually expected them to be when you created the baseline, well then the employees or the insureds are going to have to pay those excess, right? But if it is lower, then they may even bring give some back. Give some back. So then they will make the adjustment. So they have some baseline, they see how that true experience is coming in, and then at the end of the year, depending on how the true experience compares to the baseline, they adjust their future premiums. They adjust their future premiums depending on the comparison between the baseline and the true experience. Now, managing selection is that when we do have multiple of these different plan options, we know that employees will pick the one that they need. And so sicker employees may pick the richer plan, right? Healthier employees are not going to use it as much, and so you have this grouping where this plan, you may get a lot of sick people on this plan, healthier people on this plan, so the cost for this planner is gonna increase. And so to do that, to manage that risk, to manage that selection risk, what you do is you offer closer benefits, right? You make sure that you limit the spread of the benefits, so there's not such a wide gap between these two plans in terms of attraction between the sick and the healthy, right? And now, even if there is, let's say, even if there is some attract some sick, let's say you notice the large portion of the sicker employees are going to select this plan, then you can require some percentage of the employer that, hey, we need at least 90% of people to be a part of this. So this will attract this will force them to not just bring the sicker employees, but also the healthier employees as well. And so that will make sure that will help protect this selection. Pooling methods. We know if we have an outlier claim, we're not going to, we know it's an outlier, so we're not going to use that as sort of the experience for the entire group. What we're going to do is we're going to cap it off. And we're going to say, okay, this is a large claim, and this large claim, it's like, let's say like 250K, right? 250,000 or some threshold value. If it's larger than that, we just use that threshold value. And we bring it down, and we pool then all the groups, and we the additional charge that we because this outlier claim, right, that's still part of it. Doesn't the value then doesn't automatically become this lower amount. We're treating it as that. But then we then pool, we take that excess and we divide it among the other groups, other groups, and add it to their PMPM. So these additions then add to the other groups PMPM. So this is just transferring, we're just transferring the value. We're just transferring the excess. Splitting it among the groups and adding into their individual PMPM, rather than keeping that one excess in one group and perhaps saying that, okay, that might occur in the future, and then dramatically increasing their premium rates, right? We're saying we're just going to take that one and then just because the insurer has to still pay it off, we're going to split it across multiple of the different groups. Main mental models here, main tips and mental models here is want to get through the exam questions and know what the exam questions are actually asking you, and understanding first the solution of it and then regenerating the solution from scratch. That's the best way to learn, is understanding the solution, regenerating solution from scratch of all of the exam problems that you can get, because exam problems will repeat in terms of the thing that they're asking, and even the style that they're asking won't obviously be exact, but they're going to repeat. And so the more you can get a foundational understanding of the types of problems that they can ask you by understanding the solution, and try to solve it first, but first make sure to solve it. And then if you don't for 10-15 minutes, then you understand, make sure you try understanding the solution, and then you regenerate that solution after you've attempted it and you've understood it. But the worst thing to do is to spend a lot of time just trying to read the notes or go through the slides and then think you have an understanding and then not even get to practice questions. Learn from the questions themselves. Learn from the questions themselves. Try to see if you can answer the questions from the readings and the slides. So use the primary source and map of learning journey should be the questions. You should learn from the questions and use those questions as a guide to go back to the notes and see what you can learn from there to help you answer the questions instead of using the content of the slides first and then going to the questions. Use the questions as your primary source of fundamental knowledge map of what you should learn first, and that's going to help you build that mental map more effectively and more efficiently. We'll stop there.